Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to DeeLee Plus. My name is Damian Lee, and today I'm reading stories from Best of Redditor Updates. As always, I'll be reading the stories, giving my opinions, and I encourage you guys to share your opinions to anything I cover here as well. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy. Originally posted to r/extremely infuriating on July 19th, 2026 by UsedGear8871, and cross-posted to Best of Redditor Updates by DirectCaterpillar77, House Sitter stole and crashed my partner's car. What the title says: House Sitter, 19M, my relative, broke into, went on a joyride, and then crashed my SO's car, all while we're abroad for a month. Car key never given to the house sitter. Was tucked away into belongings. House sitter rummaged through belongings, located a different old dead key with an expired battery, not the one I had hidden, and then proceeded to break into the car, look up a video on how to start the car, drive into the city for some unknown reason to me, and crash the car. House sitter called multiple relatives of what I am now understanding as him setting the tone and readying his case, then called to tell me someone crashed into my SO's car. Forgiving it first, I got whatever information I needed, then informed my SO the news and other relatives who were the emergency contacts. As the day went on, the other relatives began to text me blaming me for the crash, saying I shouldn't have given him the keys or allowed him to have access to the car. House sitter is newly licensed. Prior to trip, other relatives were informed the car was only to be accessed by emergency contacts and that the car key was hidden. Prior to trip, house sitter was told this, to not touch the car, and that he wasn't on the insurance. Neither am I. Just to really set it for him to not touch the car. My amazing friend found the car, took all car keys, and is keeping an eye on it. As my SO got me towards calm, a different relative called to ask if the house sitter could retrieve their license from car. Sorry for typos, still in blind rage. Relevant comments. From Slavic Civic Nation, OP, that's infuriating. Worse is you being blamed for it. A newly licensed driver should not be an excuse to crash anyone's car ever. So the fact that any family is blaming you for giving him the keys are still plain wrong. Lending someone a car shouldn't be an issue if the borrower isn't a selfish moron. That said, you clearly didn't allow it. It's not your car even to allow cousin to drive. I'm infuriated for you, OP. In a car-centric culture, cars are everything to us. Hopefully you can actually get cousin or fam or their insurance to pay for repairs. At the end of the day, it's the cousin who crashed it, so he's got to pay for it. If not, it's a police matter, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If cousin is hell-bent on ruining his life like that, then maybe a lesson from you can save him from killing himself or someone else in a future joyride. OP replies, we're about 6 to 7 hours ahead of them. I just got the first message from a relative, my mom, of the day, and it's rage bait. No accountability, no acknowledging what happened, just a plea to not call the police. He's just a kid, he's my nephew, and diversion. Prior to this message, my SO has said he's against pressing charges, says he's just a kid, doesn't want to ruin his life as well. He's been trying to research ways around involving the police all day. Me, I want charges pressed. Firm believer in consequences. Kindness, trust, and generosity were taken for granted. Lies and deceit that followed are unforgivable. Response to my mom and any other relative today that is not an offer of compensation and acknowledgement/apology will be the same. Highlight lack of critical thinking skills among my family, and that I'm encouraging my SO to press charges. Going back to no contact when this is over. From Word of Isla, so maybe it's just me, but if I were being paid to do literally nothing except occasionally dust some surfaces and maybe water some plants, I'd take care to not lose that gig. No rummaging through their stuff or stealing their car or whatever the hell people get up to. Paid house sitting is such a sweet deal. I'd never understand how there are so many horror stories where people screw it up so bad. OP responds, this is what gets me. Sitter was doing great. Animals were taken care of. He cleaned the house without our asking and was allowed to have friends over. I spent $220 stocking the fridge and pantry for him. SO prepped meals for him. SO covered his Uber and Lyft rides to and from work. And SO paid him weekly. We chuckled when he told us he felt like he was freeloading. SO and I planned to tip him an extra few hundred for the good work he was doing. And then this shit happened. To give someone so much trust and kindness for all this to happen? I don't understand. OP shares an update July 22nd, 2026. Our cat has been missing since the night the house sitter was evicted. We are only just finding out today that our indoor-only cat hasn't been seen nor active around our house since Saturday night. While being evicted from the premises by someone who failed to supervise the disgruntled sitter as he packed up his belongings, something happened to our cat. We don't know if the disgruntled house sitter threw the cat outside, off the balcony, or put him into his bag of belongings. Our cat is gone. Timeline of events. House sitter located dead car key, broke into, started, joyrid, then crashed SO's car. House sitter calls relatives with false story of me, someone who isn't on the car registration nor insurance, somehow giving him permission to the vehicle. House sitter calls me confessing crash, laughs when asked him where he found the car key. House sitter leaves house with another relative to attend family function, leaving car key behind. Close friend rushed to our house to do a wellness check on our pets, the car, house, all while collecting car keys. Calls and sends video of all our pets. House sitter informed via text of termination. House sitter escorted back to house to gather belongings, apparently with limited supervision. Relative escorting house sitting calls requesting access to the car to retrieve driver's license. Request denied. New pet sitter arrives at house Sunday morning. Doesn't see the cat. Next pet sitter arrives at house Sunday evening. Also doesn't see the cat. Over the next 2 days, none of the pet sitters find our cat, nor see activity in his litter box or his food. Cat was last seen by our close friend on Saturday night. Cat is indoor only. In-laws, neighbors, friends, exes, hired pet sitters, and the owner of the pet sitting company have all entered our home in the last 24 hours searching for our cat. The owner of the pet sitting company, with my permission, turned the house upside down searching for our cat or any signs of him. We believe the disgruntled house sitter did one of the following: took the cat and hid him in his bag, threw the cat outside either onto or off the deck, or killed the cat and disposed of his body. Relative that was with him when he was evicted initially declined to answer questions. With police now involved, has been answering questions. Animal tracking service has been hired. The sweetest and snuggliest boy that I finally convinced that head kisses and being held so he could melt into my arms are amazing things is gone. My mini weighted and heated purring blanket and alarm clock is gone. This silly little guy who had a not-so-secret crush on my dog and hilariously humped her diaper when she was in heat, is gone. The most infuriating part is, I can't be there to help search for him, and the person responsible still hasn't shown accountability. Edit, July 23rd. He was found! Spotted after 1 a.m. attempting to climb our fence and onto our deck. My mother-in-law drove 2 hours to our house to work with the professional animal tracker, and an amazing friend who helped search and set up her nature camera by the food trap they made. They spent 3 hours searching around our house together. Mother-in-law sent a long text of how she stayed up late reorganizing our kitchen when she spotted him. We'll share in comments if possible. My SO had just left for work when her text came through. It's almost 8 a.m. here. Internet and cell phone service is bare, so I sprinted in my pajamas to his lab to tell him. We spent the entire night devastated and sobbing. Seeing his face light up was the best thing ever on top of Kitty being found. SO's mom got Kitty's wound cleaned up and fed, performed many snuggles and is taking him home with her, which is something we wish we did in the first place. Deciding when to get to the other updates. I'm elated Kitty's been found, but I'm currently battling with stress, anxiety, and shock. Trying to type an update on the remaining and newly uncovered things triggers an anxiety attack. But we'll address that the professional dog walkers have been amazing. They were the ones who figured out our cat was never in the house when their caretaking service started. They searched my house, interviewed neighbors, verified details with their walkers, and have responded to every text, email, and called right away once I had steady Wi-Fi. Thank you all for the mental and emotional support. You've helped me talk through the last few days and provide guidance on something I never thought I'd experience. OP also pays the cat tax if you want to look to your screens now. OP shares another update July 31st, 2026. I just got back to the States and on stable data/internet after being in the sticks for a while. But quick update. We're going to the police station once we're back home. SO was very against filing a police report, which is what really piqued my infuriation and anxiety. But he understands the consequences of not doing so. We have to review the extent of damages and other things before pressing charges, but there is an assumption that items from our home were removed. Cash, jewelry, technology, luxury goods, etc. Basically, we're headed back home with accepting that some things might be gone. We also learned that the house sitter never walked our dogs and lied about doing so. So we're at about $8,000 in known damages, plus recouping some vet visit costs for our cat and costs of the professional dog sitting company, and maybe another $6,000 in others. Sorry this was longer than I expected. Sleep deprived and anxious to get home. Edit, update 2. August 1st. Returned to the States yesterday after 17 days abroad. Overall, just avoided and dreaded writing this update. Updates. Police report filed. SO declined to press charges. SO's car is totaled. Trash and the belongings of others indicates house sitter had others in the car and used it for multiple days. House sitter lied about walking our dogs and was seen by neighbors putting them on our deck for extended periods of time. House sitter cleaned us out of our pantry, toiletries, bath towels, gym bags, one Kindle, one VR set that was a friend's, and some bedding items during his eviction in which my own mother was tasked to supervise but aided instead. Cat is with in-laws who have noticed temperament changes. As of today, 0 relatives have reached out to offer compensation or support for our lost cat, car damages, hired professional dog walking services to replace fired house sitter, etc. Lastly, SO has asked me to drop this topic and to stop talking about it with him. House sitter's eviction was supposed to be supervised by my own mother. She watched as he took my gym bags, loaded them up with our toiletries, and assisted him emptying out our pantry, fridge, claiming bath towels and technology he had no right to. She believed him when he said items were left or given to him, or felt he was entitled to. No questions were asked. The only call I received during this process was a request from her for him to get access to my SO's car to retrieve his license. That request was denied. Yes, my own mother watched as the person who stole and totaled my SO's car that he somehow felt entitled to robbed me of my own things. SO's car was littered with trash. It looked like someone had rummaged through his belongings. SO admits to hiding that 2 days prior to our trip, someone had broken into his car and stolen items. SO said he refrained from informing me as to not worry me, since I was heavily against and apprehensive of going on this trip in the first place. However, SO says he put the car back in order prior to our departure. In the back seat and front passenger seats were the house sitter's items and the belongings of others. One item included a visit pass with the house sitter's face on it, and another included a document dated for July 15th, 2026. Our deck was covered in dog shit and reeked of urine, according to my mother-in-law. We never allow our dogs or cat onto the wooden deck or deck furniture. It's a safety issue. Mother-in-law says one of the dogs bolted past her and pissed for a long time on the corner of the deck. Makes sense, given whenever I pinged the dog's air tags, there was never any movement. House sitter never walked the dogs and lied about it. When my in-laws found the cat, they requested I let my mom know. Her response? Please don't include me in the messaging. This matters between the parties involved. My own mother sent texts the next day pretending like everything's fine, inquiring as to how my trip was going, telling me safe travels, etc. Each was ignored. And lastly, SO has asked me to stop talking about this with him and says he moved on. Shamed me for bringing it up. I've been in a different part of the house all day just trying to keep myself from crying. He says I'm being mean and avoiding him. I feel a lot of things. Rage, disappointment, embarrassment, depressed, stressed, etc. Looking at the damage done to my SO's car, having 0 people in my own family reach out and support her to apologize, despite them all being quick to defend the house sitter and vilify me, I feel a lot of things. I have to try to keep my brain busy to stop myself from ruminating this. Napping all day and watching YouTube videos. I tried writing letters that I don't send to help with coping. If I'm not angry at someone else, I'm angry and disappointed at myself. I can't look back at the screenshots of messages without feeling enraged all over again. A different cousin sent me a barrage of messages, calling me a liar and manipulative. I responded telling them off, and they continued to berate me. I blocked everyone. I don't recognize the house anymore. I can't shake the feeling that there are more things missing that I'm unaware of. SO says that the house sitter did us a favor getting rid of things if we don't know what they are. I worry about someone breaking in or one of my relatives knocking on the door. Locks haven't been changed yet. SO leaves for more work training tomorrow morning for a week. All in all, I'm just immensely stressed and depressed from this. Thank you all for your guidance and support. If you'll have me, can you guys be my new family now? I checked to see if there was any more updates, and there is. As of August 3rd, they are pressing charges. I feel like I should make a new update post to include images and screenshots. I knew there would be something more that may have happened or was missing. We received proof that the house sitter used the car unauthorized on more than one occasion while we were away, because we got not 1, not 2, but 3 speeding tickets. House sitter has failed to respond or acknowledge our reasonable request to negotiate reimbursement. SO thinks sending a more heartfelt plea will get him to empathize with us. Bless his little heart for trying. But the only message I want to clearly convey to this thug is the fear of God. Due to the multi-date theft, SO wants to sit still a bit to see if anything else pops up. I'm calling the police first thing tomorrow to file an additional police report and press charges. Yes, I was hoping that's how that would end. We needed to press charges against that kid. Not even just for stealing the car, but this kid's out of his mind. It sounds to me like when he got told his comfy little house sitting gig was up because he stole a car and totaled a vehicle that wasn't his, that he just conveniently let the cat out so it could get hurt. That's what it sounds like to me. Like, I imagine that happening to one of my pets. Like, if my dog Brick, if I had a pet sitter or a house sitter who did something that required them to be terminated from doing the job, and they just conveniently let my dog out, oh, I would be livid. There's got to be some huge quotes around the word losing. Oh man. And the whole family, like, rallying around this kid who should not be having a defense, ran for him. It's not like he's like some kid either. I want to go back to the very beginning of the story. The house sitter's 19 years old. Well old enough to understand consequences, right? And right from wrong. This is just an entitled kid who was like, oh, you're gonna fire me? I'll show you who you're dealing with. Oh my God. And he's probably been like coddled or like, not had to face consequences for shitty things he's done. If the immediate response from everyone else was to be like, oh, he's just a kid. He's just yada yada. You know what I mean? This kid needs to face actual consequences for the multiple crimes, stealing and totaling a car, racking up speeding tickets, endangering someone else's animals, property theft. Like, there's so many things. He's racking up stars on GTA right now. Thank God they had someone check on the house after, and that they noticed something was wrong, and they found that cat as soon as they could. You know what I mean? If they, didn't, my heart hurts thinking about what could have happened. There was a line in that story that I think should really tell me all I need to know as well. OP said that after this situation, they were going back to no contact with the family. If they were no contact, we don't know the exact reason, obviously, but with what we read here, I can kind of assume why they'd be put on no contact and that it was a good reason. Next post. Originally posted to r/relationships in November 22nd of 2014 and shared to Best of Redditor Updates by Direct Caterpillar 77. My 28M close friend 28M had a vasectomy and is keeping it a secret from his wife 27F, who is also a close friend. What do I do? This will be long. I apologize. I've known my friend Kevin and his wife Emily since high school, and we've stayed very close. The three of us went to different colleges, but they were all within an hour drive of each other, and we spent a lot of time together. They got together towards the end of our first year and got married soon after graduation. They've been married around 6 years, together around 9. After graduating, we all moved back to the metro area where we grew up. Although we live about 45 minutes apart, still, my wife and I spend a lot of time with them. She and Emily have grown to be very good friends and often hang out together without the husbands. Kevin and I also spend quite a bit of time together without the wives, as I was always closer to him than Emily anyway. Before getting married, Kevin and Emily had some early disagreements about children. Emily was very set on having children, and Kevin wasn't sure that he wanted any. Kevin eventually acquiesced and said he would think about it, and they didn't really discuss it again until after they got married. Around 5 years ago, Emily gradually started bringing up the fact that she was ready to start trying to get pregnant. Kevin was adamantly against having children at that point and told her he wanted to wait until he was at a more stable point in his career. He was still at his first post-college job, and while he was making good money for someone his age, the job he was in generally isn't long-term. Think of a field like consulting, where junior-level employees typically have a 2 to 4 year shelf life before they're expected to move on to something else. He told her that he wanted to wait a few years, as the expectation was that she would probably stay at home for a year or two after having the baby. During this ongoing discussion, Kevin confided in me that, while the career explanation was true, it wasn't the whole truth. He was still unsure that he actually wanted to have kids at all, and wanted to put it off until he was sure that he really wanted to. He knew it was unfair to Emily not to disclose his feelings on this, but he was worried about her reaction, given how adamant she was about having children. After much discussion, Emily agrees to wait until Kevin has a more permanent job. Around 2.5 years ago, that happened. He took a job in-house with one of his long-term clients and ended up with a small pay jump, much better benefits, a more predictable schedule with less travel, and a lot more job security. Almost immediately after he took the new job, Emily brought up getting pregnant, and Kevin agreed to start trying. As far as I knew at the time, Kevin agreed, and Emily stopped taking birth control. Flash forward to the present, no children yet. Up until this point, as I understand it anyway, their only attempts at conceiving have been to continue their normal activities sans birth control. Since this hasn't worked, Emily has started discussing the possibility of going to a fertility doctor to see if there are any problems. The women on her mother's side, mother, grandmother, an aunt, and a cousin, have a history of having problems conceiving, although with eventual success. I'm not sure what the exact issues are, but I know that Emily's grandmother and mother were 29 before they were able to conceive, with both trying since their early 20s. Yesterday, Kevin confided in me that before he left his previous job, he had a vasectomy without telling Emily. After picking my jaw up off the floor, I started asking him questions to figure out why the hell he would do that. Apparently, after he began to put out feelers for a new job, a process that took about a year, Emily had brought up going ahead and getting pregnant. Kevin pushed back pretty hard to wait. She told him that was fine. Evidently, Kevin was really leaning towards not wanting children. I wasn't aware of this, since we never really talked about it after the aforementioned conversation. After he got the new job, and they started trying to conceive, I just figured he changed his mind and got on board. Shortly after they once again agreed to wait, Kevin became suspicious that Emily wasn't taking her birth control. He would check her pill packs, but wasn't able to confirm one way or another if she was taking them regularly or not. According to him, Emily was acting suspiciously, not sure what the specifics were, and was initiating sex much more often than usual. There was something about her periods as well, but I don't remember the reasoning behind that discussion. Evidently, after considering the evidence available to him, he was convinced that she had stopped taking her birth control and was trying to get pregnant after they agreed to wait. He was angry, but didn't want to confront her with evidence that could be explained away easily by her. At this point, I don't know if she was actually taking her birth control or not. He could have been right or just paranoid. Given his lack of trust of Emily and his increasing desire not to have children, he decided to get a vasectomy and not tell her. There was a point where he was traveling for his job, which happened often, and it was going to be a few states away for about a week and a half. He traveled to this city frequently, and was somehow able to arrange to get a vasectomy done in that time. The initial trip was supposed to be 10 days, but a weekend snowstorm caused his flight to be cancelled, and his employer ended up needing him to stay another few days anyway. Again, I have no idea how he was able to arrange visits to a urologist and a vasectomy, not to mention the follow-up visits. I'm also unclear on how long it took him to do this. The timing worked out to where the soreness and swelling was gone by the time he returned from the trip, and, according to him, the scar is completely unnoticeable unless you shine a flashlight on the bottom of his junk and look closely. So in the past 3-ish years, she has never suspected anything, I guess. He always had his insurance information sent to his office, had enough spare cash socked away to cover his copay and antibiotics/pain medication, and he changed insurance when he took his new job. So there aren't any records laying around or in an online account. So that was all well and good for a few years, but now he's in a tight spot. Because if Emily goes to the fertility doctor and things check out on her end, the next logical step is for him to get tested, at which point it'll be obvious to the doctor that he had a vasectomy, or at least he thinks this. I don't know whether that's true or if the test would just show him shooting blanks. He gambled on the fact that Emily's family has a history of problems conceiving, so maybe there'll be issues there to place the blame on. He has no idea what to do, but guesses that he can stretch this out a year or two before he has to go get tested. I'm really struggling with this. On the one hand, Kevin is my best friend. On the other, he's being totally deceitful to Emily, one of my closest friends. I'm not judging him for not wanting kids, but this is something he should have communicated to her before now. If he had talked to me about the situation before he got the vasectomy, I would have told him that he needed to break things off with her and move on if he was sure he didn't want kids. It wouldn't be fair to her, and it wouldn't be fair to him if they ended up having children, by accident or design, when he didn't want to. But that's not what happened. He's been lying to her for years. I can't tell my wife about this, because I have no doubt she'll call Emily and tell her immediately. I'm trying to decide whether I should tell Emily, Tell Kevin that he has to tell Emily or I will, or completely stay out of the situation. I feel bad about the entire situation, and I don't want to break up their marriage or destroy one or more friendships. But I also don't want Emily to waste any more of her time when having kids is such a big deal to her. What the hell do I do? Edit 1. Thanks for the advice, everyone. I think I've decided on a course of action. I'm meeting up with Kevin for drinks in an hour or so, and I'm gonna give him an ultimatum. Either he tells Emily within 3 days, or I will. I'm also going to tell my wife after my meeting with Kevin because I can't keep something like this from her and live with myself. I'll try to get her to sit on the information for as long as possible. But if she tells Emily, then I can't fault her for doing what is probably the right thing. I'm going to tell Kevin that I'm telling my wife as soon as I get home from meeting with him, and impress upon him the strong possibility that she'll tell Emily before he has a chance. This will give him an incentive to tell her sooner, rather than later. I'll probably ask my wife to let me be there when she tells Emily, if she decides that she won't wait. That way we can both be there for support, and I might have a chance of staying friends with her after this is all over. I'll post an update at some point after shit hits the fan. Thanks again, everyone. Edit 2. Just left from talking with Kevin. I took the exact approach outlined in my first edit, and it went as well as one could hope. He was understanding and apologized for putting me in this situation. He understood my need to tell my wife and said that he wished he had taken that approach in his own marriage. He realizes he needs to tell Emily and that the marriage is likely over. After some reflection, he thinks this is probably for the best because she'll never trust him again, and he really doesn't want kids. He's gonna sit down and talk with her tomorrow afternoon. Edit 2.5. Just finished talking with my wife. Holy fuck. I'll have one hell of an update soon. I don't have time to write it out right now because I need to go to sleep. I'm pretty drained from all of this. I'll update this sometime tomorrow. I'll either edit this thread or post a new one if it takes me longer to write. Stay tuned. If you like drama, just fucking wait. Fucking fuck. Fuck. Edit 3. So a lot has happened since last night. Holy hell. First off, Emily isn't pregnant as far as anyone knows. So, sorry if you were hoping for that. I'll try to write what happened chronologically so it makes more sense. Here we go. So I told my wife everything last night after I got home from meeting with Kevin. As you might expect, she was absolutely floored that he would do this to her, given how much she wants kids. She didn't take it as bad as I thought she would, though, which was weird at the time. I really thought her reaction was going to be to say that we need to tell Emily immediately, drive over to their house in a blinding rage, etc. Instead, she told me that she had something to tell me that she had been keeping secret for a long while. Evidently, a little over a year ago, Emily and my wife were discussing Kevin and Emily's attempts at conceiving. It wasn't unusual for them to talk about this, since at that point they had been trying for over a year. On this night, though, Emily had quite a bit to drink and opened up to my wife more than usual. Emily was desperate to start going to the fertility doctor, but Kevin wanted to wait because they hadn't been trying too very long. Unless I misunderstood him. Kevin seemed to imply that Emily had only recently started suggesting going to a fertility doctor. Nope. She has been telling him she wanted to go for over a year. My wife asked her why she wanted to go so soon, since they hadn't been trying that long. Emily told her that she has been trying for nearly 4 years. What the fuck? The following explanation of this is pieced together from my conversation with my wife, what Kevin told me, and my own inferences. I've tried as best I can to make the pieces fit together in a way that makes sense. I'll update and edit if I find out that any of the details aren't correct. Emily stopped taking her birth control while Kevin was still at his old job, before he ever started looking for a new one. She pretended to take her pills, hoping she would get pregnant, and she could blame it on the fact that birth control isn't 100% effective. Side note, my wife was absolutely floored by the revelation and does not condone her behavior, but continued listening to try and support her friend through what has been a really difficult experience. She stopped taking her pills around 6 months before Kevin started looking for a job. This is the same time at which she started pressuring Kevin to move on from that job. I guess it took 6 months to convince him to finally start the process. So, Kevin agrees that it's time to leave his job, starts talking with headhunters, gently approaching his current clients, etc. They have the above-mentioned talk about going ahead and trying to conceive. Kevin says no. She agrees to wait. The reason she brought it up on that particular day is that she thought she might already be pregnant, given that her period was late and she had been trying for 6 months. A couple days later, Emily got a pack of pregnancy tests, and 3 positive results later, she's pregnant. She's excited as hell, but wants to wait a bit to tell Kevin, given that they had just agreed to wait to have kids until he got a new job. Fuck. My wife thinks Emily was probably around 2 to 3 weeks along at this point. About a week and a half later, Kevin is out of state for work. Emily is planning to spring the news on him when he gets back. He's gone from Sunday night and is supposed to return late on Friday. On Monday night, Emily has a miscarriage. Evidently, this is one of the common mishaps that women and their family are prone to. My wife told me that Emily's mother had at least 3 miscarriages before successfully carrying her first pregnancy to term. Emily is absolutely devastated. She doesn't tell Kevin about it because then he'll realize that she hasn't been taking her birth control and shit will hit the fan. She calls my wife, who goes over to her house to comfort her. Note, my wife doesn't know about the miscarriage at this point, just that Emily was really upset over something. Emily only told her the truth a year ago. I actually think I remember what night this happened on because it was unusual for my wife to drive all the way to Kevin and Emily's house to hang out with her. Usually they meet somewhere in the middle. So Emily is obviously upset about this, but manages to get herself together by the time Kevin gets back. She doesn't say anything about it, but immediately starts trying to conceive again. My guess is that this would be the time where Kevin becomes suspicious about her behavior. He was right that she wasn't taking her birth control, but he only realized it after she had a miscarriage and tried even harder to get pregnant again. As far as anyone knows, Emily never got pregnant again between this time and when Kevin had the vasectomy. During a routine visit, Emily asked her OBGYN if there were any problems and told her about the miscarriage. This happened before Kevin started his new job and they officially agreed to start trying to conceive. I don't know if Emily told him, that she stopped taking her birth control, or if she implied that it was accidental. The OBGYN identified something with her uterus that could possibly cause an issue, but said she couldn't be sure from a routine exam. She suggested that Emily see a fertility specialist and gave her a referral. Evidently, the specialist wanted to do the first consultation with both Kevin and Emily there, so Emily couldn't start that process until Kevin was on board with conceiving. So that's the state of things. Emily was lying to Kevin about being on birth control for at least 1.5 years. My wife never told me because she wasn't sure what to do, since they had officially started trying to have children by the time Emily told her about all this. My wife decided to keep the information to herself because it didn't matter at that point anyway. I called Kevin and told him about this late last night. He wasn't as upset as I thought he would be, because he already figured that Emily had stopped taking her birth control back then, although it was actually 6 months before he caught on. He was pretty upset about the miscarriage and felt really bad that Emily had to keep this to herself for all these years. As of right now, he hasn't talked to her yet. That'll happen later this afternoon or tonight. Fuck. I may post an update after he talks to her tonight. In all likelihood though, I'll wait a week or so and post an update after all this has died down and hopefully they've decided what they're going to do. OP posts an update 2 days later on November 24th, 2014. Well, Reddit, the situation has resolved itself. Kevin and Emily talked for a long time yesterday, and they've agreed that it's best for them to split up. Too much damage done, and the lies they told each other were too big. Not to mention the kids issue. I wasn't there, obviously, but I've talked to them both, and they seem better than I expected. Both of them are really angry, but as much as directed as themselves at each other. Strangely enough, they were both really glad for my involvement. Emily wasn't even pissed at my wife for telling me about the birth control fiasco. I have no idea whether my wife and I will be able to remain friends with either of them. They were both really deceitful to each other and to us, but I think I'm willing to move past that eventually. We'll see how this goes. Thanks to everyone who commented. I don't think I would have approached this situation correctly were it not for some of the responses I got here. I feel like people don't realize that marriage is a for life thing and you have to be aligned on certain things. Like, obviously divorce can happen, but if you're committing to marrying someone, you're saying, hey, I'm with you until I'm in the ground. Like, that's what you're saying to them. Divorce is really the only logical outcome. They both lied to each other on some pretty serious things, and in my opinion, they weren't compatible in the first place. Whether or not you want children is such a huge thing that if you're not compatible on that, just, it's not gonna work out. That's one of those, that's like a genuine line in the sand you have to be able to draw. And I don't even think it was that Kevin was unsure. He just didn't want them, but didn't want to tell Emily because he didn't want to end the relationship, which is selfish to me. And Emily's selfish for, discontinuing taking her birth control and not telling him. It's just two selfish people who couldn't, she was very upfront about wanting kids. She was honest about that part, but they were both selfish in their own ways, and it's just, they weren't going to work out in the long run. And I am very happy that you know, no children ended up becoming like an additional factor in that, you know, dynamic. You know what I mean? Like, I know for me and my partner, my girlfriend, we are pretty firm on the like no to like let's figure it out over time, but leaning pretty close towards no for both of us. And, you know, we have that conversation, but we're also like, if our minds change, we talk about it. Communication's such a huge thing here, and I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that there was not enough communication here between both parties, where this could have been a done deal and they could have separated years ago and saved each other this, like, back and forth of like, well, I'm gonna stop taking my birth control, I'm getting a vasectomy, and now we'll never have them. They just weren't ready. They weren't each other's people. And I think that's fine, but you got to have that conversation. And that's going to do it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to support the channel, you can use code DamianLee at GamerSups. Get yourself some energy, and it supports me quite a bit. And subscribe if you enjoy these kinds of videos. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. every week. Until next time, my name is Damian Lee, and I'll be seeing you.